Hey, everybody. Happy Marketing Monday. We are so excited to be on live with you today. Super, super excited. It is Marketing Monday. It's also Black History Month. I'm Deborah Dixon-Anderson here from Light of Gold PR. We are live. And so, just a little bit about Light of Gold PR. We're 17 years old now, but we are going on 18. And we've been doing everything from press to media to marketing, strategy and consulting, branding, digital, and we do a lot of events, especially now. Perfect segue to introducing my wonderful event partner, Athenia Rodney from Juneteenth NY. Welcome, welcome. Thanks for coming again.
Thank you for having me again. It has been a roller coaster ride and really excited to be here yet again another Monday marketing
Yes, Marketing
day.
Monday. Absolutely, absolutely. So, and share a little bit about Juneteenth and why, Athenia. Then we'll
Sure.
dive into our convo.
Most definitely. We got a nice and just so that y'all know, we really did not plan this at all to wear the same thing. And this is
No,
like I think the second or third
we're
time.
just in
Right.
sync.
I think
Yeah,
this is like the second or
so
third
I
time that this
like it. I
actually
like
happened.
it. This was not
Um,
planned.
Hello, everyone, and welcome, Mom's Kitchen, New York City. My name is Athenia Roddy, CEO and founder of Juneteenth NYC. Very excited to be here. I'm also the founder and CEO of Umoja Events. Umoja Events is actually was the lead organization to Juneteenth until 2021 when it became its own. Juneteenth became its own national holiday, and we made it its own nonprofit organization. So we have been going strong for about 20 years as Umoja Events, and now for 15 years as a Juneteenth. We do a 3-day, this year will be 4-day celebration where we are celebrating all that is in Black culture. Our theme is unveiling our roots. So talking about how we are tapping into what our roots are, what that looks like, all the way back to Africa and the in between, what the transatlantic slave trade looks like, all of that stuff. So thank you for having me again, and I am excited about our partnership this year. I look forward to all of the blessings and things that are to come.
Yes, thank you. Thanks so much, Athenia. And hey, Tony, I see Tony. I probably just messaged you on our YouTube. I have a lot of screens going, so if I'm messaging on the wrong place, forgive me. But hey, Tony, I see you on Facebook. Thanks for joining us today. And so before we dive into our topic about Black History Month, our Black History Month experience event, and Black excellence, we got to talk about the Super Bowl. What?
That was a epic game last night.
It
Okay,
was epic. It was exciting. It was intense. And I don't even follow football like that.
me
But
either.
that was a good game.
It really
That was
was.
a good
I was on
game.
the
It
edge
was
of my seat, and
exciting.
my kids were on the edge of their seat. My
Yes.
husband, and we're
It
all
was, yes, it was intense. And what about the halftime show? Big ups to Usher.
yes, Usher
Yes,
did his thing.
he
He
did. He
put the
did.
show down. Like,
He
yeah.
did.
I was up dancing. I was like,
Me
and that was
too.
my time. That
Uh,
was my era
uh,
when I was in
uh,
college. So
uh.
I was like, yeah, come on.
Yes, I was
Then he
dancing.
took off
And
his shirt. My husband
what?
decided to take
Let me
his shirt
tell
off. He was
you,
like,
Usher's
he was,
45. He's still looking good.
he
He's
is.
still, you can tell he looks really good for his age. And he was just keeping up with his whole dance team. And
The
I
roller
love the
skating.
roller skates and the marching band. I was like, what? And he repped for the ATL. He
He
had
did. He
Ludacris
repped for
up
the A.
there. Yes, he had Jermaine Dupree up there. So I love that. I lived in Georgia for over 15 years. Got a lot of family and friends there. Miss Athenia, got
I
you
am
there
down
now.
here right now in the
Yep,
A. So I
yep,
was even
in the
more excited
A.
because I was like,
Yes.
yeah.
It was really cool. I
It was
mean, the
good.
dancing, it was just lit. And I just loved it. I also love the commercials. The commercials are always on point. And let's talk about Queen Bee. Queen
Yes.
Bee, excuse me, with her marketing. Let's
She
talk about that.
Yes, so let's definitely talk about that. So her
Yes,
marketing actually started with the Grammys the
it
following
did.
week
That part.
because at the Grammys, and it was funny because when oh my gosh, what's her name? When she was doing the Tina Turner tribute,
That was
Fantasia,
right,
right? When
right.
Fantasia was doing
Hmm.
the Tina Turner tribute, she went to her to go dance. So, it was a whole, I was like, that's Bay. So she
Yeah,
had on her
yeah.
whole white
Yeah,
hat and
not
she was
not
looking
used
at,
to her being dressed like that either.
not at
That
all.
was definitely a different persona
It
for her.
definitely was.
Yeah.
And then the
Mhm.
whole segment when Jay-Z went on stage and he's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, especially when people are in the wrong
Yeah.
genres
Jay-Z.
and this, that, and that. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, this was a whole setup.
It was
We
a
were
whole
just being
setup. It
like
really was.
taken through the whole transition for them. So it's like
Mhm.
if her album does not get album of the year next year, it's about to be a
It's
problem.
already set up because even that commercial, the commercials, everything they dropped in the Super Bowl, it was like almost a little bit of Grammy part two
Mm-hmm,
because it was like,
mm-hmm,
what's
mm-hmm.
happening here? So it was like very connected to the Grammys and seeing her in the country space. Look, she's from Texas,
Mm-hmm.
so it does make sense that now she would be in that space. And but the marketing and the just the planning and being so strategic with the
Yeah.
way that went down last night, that was pretty impressive. I
Free
got
and
I gotta say it was
let us
genius.
add free
Yeah.
marketing.
Yes.
She didn't pay for any of it, but
No. No.
picked up all of those little tidbits and how it was put
Yes.
together. And that is what marketing is all
That's
about,
what
y'all.
marketing
Like,
is all about. Yeah.
taking opportunities, being able to
Hmm.
utilize opportunities, like her just
Right.
capitalizing on all of the different
Yes.
spaces that
Yes.
had millions
And
of
that's what she
viewers.
did, millions of views, and she pushed it all out there. And you're right, the free part, that part, and just being intentional about how it was done was pretty genius. So I really enjoyed that from a Marvel. Look, the entertainment factor was great, but the marketing was pretty impressive, and I definitely that did not disappoint, and I definitely noticed it how it was done. It was very intentional.
Yeah, yeah.
That's pretty cool. That was pretty cool. So we're about 7.5 minutes in. I don't want us to forget about our topic, which is about how relevant Black History Month is. Athenia and I talked about this a few weeks ago. So this is really like part two of that conversation. Just how important Black History Month is,
Mhm.
especially during a time when it's being dismantled. It's just something, combating the historical erasure of Black History Month is just really, especially for those of us who are African American, okay, BIPOC, okay, we could talk about all of the cultures of color, how important it is for us to make sure that Black history is not erased in any way that we can. And that's what we're trying to do with our Black History Month experience event on February 24th, which is a Saturday.
Most definitely. And you know what's been so important about this year's Black History Month is I feel like it's all been in line with what our mission and our vision has even been, like getting back to the roots.
Yeah,
So I was at
yeah,
church yesterday and pastor did like a whole segment on the whole the march that in Montgomery, Alabama, that
yeah.
ended up happening,
Hmm.
and how
Hmm.
Rosa Parks was not the first person that
No,
sat
she wasn't.
on the bus. That it was
Hmm.
actually what is her name? 15-year-old Claudette Calvin. Um,
Hmm.
right. So she was the first one that actually got arrested. So apparently, her and a couple of her friends went and got on the bus. They sat in the front, and then they were told to go to the back. And Claudette decided she wasn't going to get up. They then got to the next stop. They pulled her off, threw all her stuff off, and they arrested her. 15 years old, she was arrested. And so it was the NAACP, that decided that they did not want a 15-year-old's life to be impacted by this. And that's why Rosa Parks then went and reenacted the moment and did the same thing. And that's when she was arrested. And that's when the bus boycott started. So this whole getting back to like the roots and really understanding like the full stories of everything, because we only get this highlighted area of like
Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
going on in our
Yeah.
world, and we don't get the full story, and that's the
Right.
only part that
Right.
we're really telling. So
Right.
I'm really
Right.
excited that we've been doing a lot more of that this year.
Yeah, I'm grateful to see more of that, and I think what's so important to be mindful about is just only getting snippets of
Mhm.
everything. We don't always get everything, the whole story, or we just get little pieces. But then the scary thing for me is even the little pieces are being erased, slowly, or being removed. And so I feel like it's our responsibility to really keep pushing the narrative of the importance of Black history, the importance of Black excellence, and to recognize the fact that there is still systemic racism. It's there. It's still there. We can't pretend it's not happening. It is still happening. And I think unless you travel in different spaces, sometimes you don't see it, doesn't impact you, but it's impacting someone, and
Mhm.
it's a very difficult thing to deal with. We were talking about last time, Athenia, just how a lot of Black people, African Americans, BIPOC people, they stay with jobs that they're
Long
just being
times.
discriminated against. Everybody, you want to have monies coming in when you retire. I always recommend, creating some different hustles, different ways of making income, because what I have seen in my lifetime is when you stay in these positions where it eats away at pieces of your soul, your spirit, when you are consistently dealing with systemic racism in a job, in a corporation, when it's consistent, and you're trying to wait it out to get a pension. And for me, I mean, we see it in a different way as entrepreneurs and business owners. I also see it in a different way, having been married to, having a husband that worked in corporate America. So I am definitely always listening to his story. So Rick
Mhm.
retired last year, so I mentioned a little bit about that. But I think it's so important that we choose to be in spaces where we are celebrated and not tolerated.
I,
After a while, it wears down your spirit when
I,
you continue to operate and stay in these spaces where we're just not being treated well, and it turns into illnesses, sicknesses, PTSD, all of it
mhm.
starts to happen to wear us down. So we have to find a way to combat that, or to make certain decisions on how long we want to continue it. Do we, certain times, certain opportunities for maybe stating that, okay, this is not working. Do you
Mhm.
stay in that space? Do you leave the space? Or do you stay? Do you complain about it? What kinds of things can be done?
Well, there's a couple of things with that, and I do want, because Mom's Kitchen also shared. I just wanted to go back briefly
Yeah,
that
please,
she
please.
was pregnant, and that was the reason why she sat down. I did not know that Claudette was pregnant
Wow.
when first child,
Wow.
and that was the reason why she refused to give up her
I
seat.
didn't know that
So the
either.
fact that she was pregnant and that she was 15 years old at the time was something that they didn't want to put on her
Wow.
to
Right.
lead the civil rights
Right.
movement, for that part. So thank
Right.
you for sharing that,
Thank
Tim. And
you
I
for
want to make
sharing
sure.
that. Thank
See
you.
this collaborative. I love the
Yeah, I love this.
collaboration.
Yes, so
um,
all of our social media is shared with you guys, for everybody to chime in, both mine and Athenia's. So we love, 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 love the comments. So keep it coming. Thank
Most
you.
definitely, most definitely. So, now getting back to what you were sharing, and I think, and this is why COVID, or should I say, the twin pandemics was so important, because one, it allowed our men to have the opportunity to get help, right, and to be unashamed in getting help. because that was the part where, you know, so many men, they have so much on their shoulders, and we're talking about where things lie. There was a whole segment of our life in America where our men were taken away from us. Like that was an intentional part of the civil rights movement that
Yes.
they were to remove. As we were doing integration, they were removing the men out of the homes, and they were arresting them for nonsense. And this is also when drugs was introduced into the community. So we
Mhm.
had a lot of our men starting to be you know, attached to drugs, right? Which took them out of the homes and took finances out of the homes. And
Mhm.
then the whole idea to those who were there, they had to not just deal with their family, their little nucleus, but also all of their siblings and sometimes their parents, even being the man for their mom or for their siblings. So to think about the pressure that takes, and then the fact that men do, especially African American men, have it so much harder
Yes.
because they have multiple glass ceilings. Now,
Yeah.
females, yes, we do have
Definitely.
glass ceilings as well,
Definitely. We do.
but
Yeah.
we have our men are still being looked at as monsters, right? So
Mhm.
they have to
Yeah.
always humble themselves. And if they're in the space and they're not humbled, um,
Mhm.
or showing any type of aggression, then that
Mhm.
becomes, you know, something. I remember my husband at the times will always, even the other day, he was walking the kids to the bus stop, and he was like, oh, it was a young lady who was walking with me, and he like froze. He's like, let me walk the other way, because he doesn't want anything to be misconstrued that
Mhm.
he was following her or anything like
Right.
that. Like the fact that you even have to think like
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
a consistent basis, and just thinking being in the workplace the same,
Mhm.
like making
Yeah,
sure
it's the
your
same
doors left
thing.
open, making sure you have a female partner in the space when you're doing any write-ups or any kind of you know, confrontational situations may arise.
Right.
Like, so there's so much that
Yeah,
goes
it's so
into
much.
the
Yeah.
fact of, do
Yeah.
I decide if I, you know, can stay here or can I,
Right.
you know, leave?
Right.
Because it's like, am
Yeah.
I going to get another job? And then to go
Yeah.
to the place and start at the bottom after
And
I put
start
so
at the
much
bottom.
time
Yeah.
into this place.
Yeah.
So there's
That's
so much
that's
that
a that's tough. It's a tough thing, especially if a lot of the biases start all over again in a new company. Maybe they're different types of biases, but they still exist. And so that's the scary part, you know,
yeah.
people trying to decide. And I think the weight of how we move around in society,
Hmm.
it's a weight, you know, whether it's going to an event, the microaggressions that happen on a daily basis is is just crazy. You know, I could tell you as much as I like living in New Jersey, but you know, crossing the street, it's a busy street, and looking at this black woman, this middle-aged black woman crossing the street, and suddenly the cars speed up. Then you see someone who's not a woman of color cross the street, and all the cars stop. It may seem like a small thing to you, but it's not. Or my husband getting train tickets for me to come into Manhattan and being questioned on why he's at the train station on a Sunday. My husband and I are both middle aged, and he's minding his own business at a just buying tickets, you know, or being questioned is look, and as you get older, you start to deal with even more isms. Okay, so it's an additional layer of isms because now it's like for us it's ageism, still sexism, still racism. It's a lot of isms that start to pile up as we get older, sadly, you know. So those are just, you know, things. Or do you live in this neighborhood? You know, we live in suburbia, but we get asked those questions. And we could pretend that,
Wow.
oh no, they don't mean anything by it, but excuse me, is anybody else being questioned about whether we
Ask that
live in this
question.
neighborhood?
Yeah.
You know, so those are the things that we live with day in and day out, and that we have to shake off from
Hmm.
our consciousness and still show up in spaces that we are required to show up. and we
Yeah.
have to pretend it didn't happen.
Mhm.
Okay? That's just me keeping it real.
Mhm.
It's real talk.
Yeah,
So,
and I always say your intuitiveness, your that gut feeling that you feel,
mhm,
God
mhm.
gave it to you for a
That's
reason.
right. We have it for a
And,
reason.
and we gotta go with it. We gotta whenever we have that gut feeling that something is not right, it probably isn't.
Right.
And you need to act on it and move
Mhm.
immediately in that
Right.
space.
Right.
I have Jim 2K7 that joined, welcome, and K Rizzle and BW Skilly that joined. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. But yeah, chime in. Let us know what you all
Yeah, please.
about this whole idea of the glass ceiling,
Mhm.
feeling like you have to stay at a job for a long period of time,
Mhm.
even when you're not, when you're underrepresented, under respected,
Mhm.
and just under everything. Not getting your due process, not moving up the corporate ladder as you should.
Mhm.
Share some of your thoughts. We want to hear your.
Yeah, please, we wanna hear from you. So this is a conversation, not just between me myself and Athenia, but also we want you to chime in, welcome, welcome to the discussion. And I guess also looking at how can we be careful about not perpetuating harmful stereotypes? How can we add to that?
Hmm,
Just being authentic representation of our communities. How can we work toward doing that? Because I think it's important that not only do we have these types of conversations, but are you doing anything maybe unintentionally to
mhm,
perpetuate certain types of stereotypes, like between male and female. Like every now and then, it's like, how are we speaking to each other? Are we demanding things to get done instead of asking or requesting? It's just those types of things that we have to be mindful of in our language, how we travel in this space, and I think a certain amount of empathy, knowing that as people of color and minorities that we've dealt with certain things, do we
hmm.
want to dole out the same type of, communication and treatment to other minorities?
Yeah.
So
Other
it
is
does happen.
other isms.
Other isms, like, is that a fair thing to do, and are we being mindful about I work with a lot of young people. I've been, honored to be a mentor to a lot of young people. I have to call myself to the carpet and be
Mhm,
careful about delegating certain types of tasks to my female, team members versus my male. Is it stereotypical?
mhm,
Or am I giving everybody the same opportunity to work on different types of projects and different types of tasks? I'm very careful about that. I'm also very careful not to dismiss their opinion. I have found so many people, who are older, whether it's 40s, 50s, 60s, and who dismiss young people. So they deal with a different type of bias. We think about our own biases and we forget about, okay, it's not always just about age. Sometimes it works the other way around.
yeah.
I've heard boomers state, oh, honey, you're so young. What, boo, you'll see what
Honey,
happens in
you
another
don't
10
know
years.
yet. You
You don't
haven't
know
lived
yet.
in life.
Well, they know what's happening in their space,
Mhm.
and they should not be dismissed
Yeah.
for it just because they're 20 somethings,
Mhm.
and I think that we have a lot to learn from each other. I
I
made that decision when I was closer to their age, that I wasn't going to do the same thing to them that was being done to me, and
Mhm.
to listen to them. Isn't it interesting that every technology that has blown up in our society just became huge, 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 like the internet, social media, was started by a young person that was probably
Yeah.
dismissed
Yep.
until That's not
Yeah,
even a business model.
right.
What is
Facebook,
Facebook or Twitter? What
Uber,
is that
Twitter,
really?
yeah, all
All of it was started by young people.
our young people.
And I started working. I like to think of myself as a little bit of a pioneer, just like you are, Athenia, for Juneteenth. We're pioneers. We've
Yeah,
been
we
on
are.
the front lines of this. So when
Yep.
I started working with the internet back in the mid 90s, everybody told me it was a fad, it was going to go away. I had some clients that told me that's ridiculous. Isn't that for young people, for kids? Well, I got the last laugh on that. And
Yeah.
then 10 years later, the same thing happened with social media. I started moving from the internet over to social media, the same thing that was said. So now what I like to state is how many technologies have you slept on and
Mm,
that you dismiss and discounted
mm,
because the person on the other side wasn't dressed in a suit. They weren't middle aged. They were a young kid, maybe in college, out of college, and they just had this thirst for this particular technology and they knew in their gut that it was going to be a big deal, and it was. And now they're multimillionaires, billionaires, and you just told them to get out of your office. Guess what? You let me tell you, they got the last laugh on that. So, just being careful and mindful not to discriminate
yeah.
against other folks because we get discriminated against all the time. So how do we keep that going? How do we be aware of that?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I know when I was younger, I always got that whole
Mhm.
oh, you're still
Yep.
young.
Yeah.
You have
Oh,
time to
yeah.
figure it out. Or
Mhm.
I'm like, yeah, but you don't know my life. Like
Yeah,
I've
exactly.
been through some stuff, and I know more
Exactly.
than you think I know. So,
That
um,
part.
and
That
I feel
part.
like that constant fight with people to try to figure out, to gain respect from
Mhm.
individuals,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then to actually to prove myself. And I'm like,
Mhm. Yes.
in the Black community, and we talk about this all the time, we can't be mediocre. And
Right.
that's one thing that, I kept hearing all weekend
Mhm.
at
Yeah.
church. You
True.
can't be mediocre.
Mhm.
We can't do things
Right.
in a halfway, a half
Yeah,
job.
we
We have
can.
to come at it at 100%.
Right.
Um,
Sometimes 200.
right, sometimes two hundred
So,
percent in
yeah.
order to
Yeah.
just get in the door in those spaces.
Mhm.
And I think that's why
Yeah.
entrepreneurship is becoming such a big thing because I don't think, I know
Mhm.
entrepreneurship is becoming such a big thing because of that fact
Yeah.
alone. I
Yes.
don't have to compare myself to somebody else. As long as
Right.
I have a good product and I am fulfilling a need that people are
Mhm.
saying is an issue, then I can be successful.
Mhm. That's right. That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And then I think also, Athena, as we um reach back and help others, like the opportunities that we can create, and I've created them, I know you have too, to reach back and mentor or
Yeah.
reach back and well, here's the thing with the mentoring, you got to be open to receiving mentorship because there are sometimes young people that look like us,
Yeah.
that maybe can't always receive the mentoring. I don't know, maybe I remind someone of their auntie or their mama or somebody. I don't know what happens, but every now and then I'll interview someone and then it's a struggle when they're on my team because they have a block as far as receiving from
Yeah.
me because I remind them of someone. I'm like, I'm not your auntie or your mama. I still need you to do this and do this way. And this is why. I don't like
Mhm.
to just tell
Right.
anyone how things, and this
That
is
part.
why. And I
That part.
like to show this is why this is a better way to do it. But I am open to hearing their point of view as well, because maybe they have something to share that can help us with our systems and our processes. And we've implemented a lot of things that we've learned from young people. But how do we reach back? Young people or anyone who's changing your career, you have to be open to receiving. I don't like destructive criticism. I like constructive
Yeah.
criticism, but you got to be open to receiving it and don't feel that anybody's putting you down. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. There are some people, because I've been on the other side of this, they are sort of putting you down, then that's not a healthy environment
Right.
for you to be in. I'm talking about a place where it's an open environment
Nurturing.
and nurturing,
Hmm.
and someone has your, because I've had a lot of young people come back and tell me, Deb, you were right.
The best
I'm
experience I've ever
sorry I didn't listen to
had.
you when they come back and they say, "You know
Yeah.
what? I didn't know this. I didn't believe you." And that's always makes me feel good when I hear that. Look, I want to help young people, but you got to be open to receiving the help, and even if you're, in your 40s or 50s or 30s and you just want to change careers, you also have to be open to receiving constructive criticism. And I know you do so much with Juneteenth and why and everything that you do too,
Yeah,
Athenia.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say because I know we about to wrap up. It's already 1 o'clock.
Yes.
It went by so
Mhm. It
fast.
went by so fast. I know. I
We
think
talked
I
about
started having flashbacks. I'm sorry, y'all, if I went on a tangent, but but I know we went over a little bit.
But yeah, I mean, just to talk about the volunteers and interns, that is something that
Mhm.
I hold near and dear to my heart. I'm
Yeah.
always inviting people, especially to be, especially young people, to be part of our board, to be understudies, so that they can learn the ins and outs of nonprofit organizations, because that in itself is a big thing. And there's things that I'm still learning as I'm building
Mhm.
and growing my own nonprofit organization.
Mhm.
So that is always an open opportunity. We have our event that's coming up at the end of the month, our Black History
Mhm.
event on
Mhm.
February. I always want to say June, on February
I
20th.
know.
June is like in my
Yeah,
head.
February 24th,
February
Saturday.
24th is Saturday. Um,
Mhm.
and we are going to have a in-person and a virtual component to it.
Yes.
We are looking forward to you joining us. If you are interested in being a vendor, we still have a couple of slots available.
Yes, we do.
And we're going to have some entertainment. We're going to show you how to do African drumming, from the drumming circle, which is really looking forward to. We're
Yes.
also partnering with Brooklyn Blends, who is
Mhm.
looking to open up his store inside of the Flatbush Central Market on KN and Flatbush Avenue.
Mhm.
So he'll be having some tasty bites to sample that'll be
Yes.
available there.
Yes.
And we also have our Nation of One, who's going to be coming and talking about Black history as they
Yes.
came and joined us for
For
Kwanzaa,
Kwanzaa. Yes.
to talk about what Kwanzaa is and what it means to our community. So we're continuing
Mhm.
that conversation on utilizing the seven principles of Kwanzaa and how we're
Mhm.
utilizing it in our conversations about African American
Right.
history.
Yeah, it's gonna be so great, and you really should be there in person or come and join us live, especially for our people around the country who follow us. We want you to also be part of the experience. But we want those to come, whoever can come to attend, because the other part of this is we did adopt a school as well. So that's a really important part that we want to give back to Christopher Community Avenue School. Just
Yes.
wonderful Jacinda, who's also on the
On
board
our
and a
board.
fabulous volunteer. We want to adopt her school because they have a lot of needs. So if you want to come and donate, we want you to donate monies, but we also will have a list of needs that the school has, and we want you to be part of that. If you're not here locally, we'll have a fundraising link up. You can go ahead and donate, because we do want to give back to the school as well. And this is something that we want to probably cultivate, going forward in different, whenever we can for certain events. How do we help,
Right.
someone who needs the help? So definitely Saturday, February 24th will be at the Flatbush Caribbean Marketplace, right, Athenia?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
On
we'll
Kate
be
and
there.
Flatbush. Mm-hmm.
Yes, so it's going to be a really good event. You can find it on lightofgoldpr.com.
You
We
can
have an
also.
upcoming events page. Do we have it on Juneteenth NY as well?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, so you could go to juneteenthy.com or lightofgoldpr.com and go ahead and sign up to attend, sign up to become a vendor. We still have some spots available. It's going to be a great event. And then, the very next month, we're going to have Women's History Month. So, our Gold Women's Business Connect Conference is going to be coming up on March 21st, which is a Thursday, and that's going to be at the Aloft Hotel in Harlem. So, we have two wonderful events coming up. You definitely want to follow both of us and go ahead and see how you can participate, be part of it, attend, donate. You know, we have lots of wonderful opportunities, and quite frankly, we have a lot of new opportunities coming up in different areas. You know, whether it's advertising, we're going to be working on streaming platforms, we're going to have speed networking events. We're going to have a lot of things going on. Athenia has these wonderful lunch and learns, you know, every week, and as well as topics, wonderful topics that she covers. So we want you to come back. Last thing I'm going to say, and then we're going to hop off because I know we went over. Wednesday, join us for Wellness Wednesday. Wellness Wednesday will feature my guest, my husband Rick, as we celebrate 15 years of meeting each other on February 14th, 15 years ago. We're going to talk about love, marriage, but also health and wellness, of weight loss, and everything that we've been doing to feel better, move better, and to be able to lose weight. We feel so much better as we release some pounds. So we want to share our story with you on Wednesday at 12:30 on February 14th. So please join us. We'll be sending that out also on social media, and it's on our website. So look for it. All right.
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Deborah. This was
Thank
amazing. Thank you,
you. It
everyone
was
on Power
amazing.
Wednesday, Team Gemini. Thank you all for your
Yes.
comments. And
Thanks,
happy Valentine's
everybody.
Day to those who
Happy
celebrate.
Valentine's
And
Day.
if not, happy Love Day. Do something for
Yes.
yourself. Do
Do
something
something
to
for
encourage
yourself.
love yourself
Yes.
on this week.
Love yourself.
All
Yes.
right,
Thank you,
everyone. Have a
everybody,
good
for
one.
chiming in. Have a great day. Thanks again. Take care. Have a
Bye.
blessed day. Bye.